This is the Tier 8 Tech Tree Italian tank destroyer, the Semovente Contraccaro 64. It is an absolutely overpowered vehicle. Why? Well, it's got 11 degrees of gun depression, frontal armor while haul down that is virtually impossible for anything at Tier 8, or really even Tier 9 to cut through, and when you pair that with a gun that has 3,000 DPM and ridiculously good pen, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind why this vehicle is so absolutely busted. And I actually have to say, the legendary camo Wargaming made for this tank is really, really cool. It wouldn't surprise me if Wargaming nerfed this vehicle in the near future, but I guess we will have to find out. In today's video, we are taking a look at the Semovente Contraccaro 64 Vipera. Yeah, you heard that right. This is the Semovente Contraccaro 64. This is the Semovente Contraccaro 64. Yeah, kind of weird. I want you to take a good look at the turret of this vehicle. See this boxy style turret? Okay, let's make our way back over to Blitz, and let's put the stock turret on this tank. Oh, isn't that crazy? Yes, indeed. The stock turret on the Semovente Contraccaro 64 is the turret on the Vipera. I do find it rather funny that Wargaming literally just copied the stock turret and everything about the Semovente Contraccaro on the tech tree, and then changed it to a premium and said, yep, there you go, a new vehicle. Now, while I am dissing on the laziness of Wargaming when it comes to designing this vehicle, I will have to give them credit. This seems to be quite a fun vehicle. And in today's video, I'll be letting you know everything you're going to want to know about it. While this is obviously the stock turret of the Semovente Contraccaro, that does not mean that it's a bad turret. In fact, we can see it's about 250 millimeters on flat, and that's without running enhanced armor. With enhanced, it's 270. So that's still really effective armor, and I really can't get all too mad. So let's take a look at the gun that this vehicle features. Its overall damage per minute. Obviously, we're going to kit this vehicle out very quickly. We're going to run V-stabs, all the goodies there. We're going to run enhanced armor as usual. We're going to run toolbox. We're going to make our way over to engine accelerator, and we're going to finish off with our consumable delivery system, although that doesn't even matter here. So DPM-wise, it's 2,487. It's not nearly as good as the 3,000 damage per minute you will find on the tech tree Semovente Contraccaro 64, but it is still pretty good, especially when you realize this is a two-shot auto-reloader. It features a reserve shell and a non-reserve shell. So essentially think of this vehicle as a beefier Bisante. So the damage per shot is 400, which is quite nice, and it's got pretty good pen. Its penetration on the standard is 240. Obviously, you're going to be running calibrated shells, so it's 252, and that means with heat, or actually APCR, this vehicle gets 305 mils of pen. So it's got really good pen. APCR is super nice. It's going to butter through any armor. The gun on this tank is quite good, and because it hits for 400 damage per shot, it actually feels quite beefy. So you're able to chunk people for 400 damage a shot. You've got decent DPM at 2500. I actually like the way Wargaming balanced this tank, because if you do need to dip into that second 400 damage shot, you can. You're going to half of your DPM, but you're going to get a very solid amount of damage out of 803 seconds, which is this vehicle's intra clip. So it's actually quite nice in that regard. The aiming time is 1.87 seconds, which is pretty good. And it's its dispersion, well, that's not bad. 0.335 is all right for what is a 400 alpha, you know, super heavily armored TD. The problem is the on move is 0.2, and that's with V-stabs. It's 0.23 without. The Badger is very close to that. Badger's 0.26. So essentially, if you move this tank, it is going to bloom like crazy. Now, that's not going to be the biggest problem ever because you're driving this thing frontline, but still, it is going to be incredibly painful to drive this tank with the level of on-movement dispersion that it features. Gun depression-wise, it says 7 degrees, however, that is not correct. As you can see, the turret itself is at about a 4-degree angle downward, and because of that, the vehicle actually has 11 degrees of gun depression. It just says 7 degrees in the base game statistics. Top speed-wise, the vehicle goes 35, and it reverses at 14. So it's actually quite a bit slower than the tech tree Semovente Contraccaro, and that's the same for the traverse speed as well. It's also slower on the traverse speed. So my guess is what Wargaming did here is they said, okay, we already have a tech tree version of this vehicle, which is absolutely busted, and we don't want to make another absolutely broken vehicle, so what we're going to do is we're going to make a slightly worse version with a more interesting gun and release it as a premium. I don't disagree with this. I think if Wargaming made a vehicle that was comparable, if not better, than the tech tree, it would have been the most broken broken thing ever, judging that the tech tree already is one of the most overpowered tanks in the game. So I can't really fully discount Wargaming's opinion there on why they did this decision making. But I will say, I actually think this tank looks pretty good. Let's start off with the armor. So as I said, on flat, it's about 270 mils thick. It is slightly angled, so that means against any premium rounds, it's actually going to be even stronger. I mean, APCR, it's 280. So while this looks pretty weak, if we actually were to swap the armor against, a heat-firing vehicle, it's probably about 290 effective against heat on the flat. And using the 11 degrees of gun depression, I mean, yeah, good luck cutting through this vehicle. This is with 300 millimeters of pen, and you still can't really pen this vehicle's turret. As we can see, it's 297 effective. That's kind of insane. Again, against heat shells, this is going to be even harder. So armor-wise, the Vipera is going to be incredible. The upper plate's upwards of 302 as well. So essentially, this vehicle haul down has no weak spots. As we can see, there is a tiny hatch, but I mean, seriously, good luck hitting that while this vehicle is using its gun depression. Overall, the armor on this tank is absolutely insane, and it is going to absolutely bully opponents. When you pair that with an auto-reloading gun, which has pretty decent damage per minute, as we said, 2,500, I think that this vehicle is actually going to be quite a strong one. And while, as I said, it's not going to be as strong per se as the tech tree, it's still going to be an incredibly capable tank. The real problem with the Vipera is there's just no reason to purchase the tank. The Semovente Contra Caro 64 on the tech tree is already better in almost every way. Mobility-wise, the tank has a very similar power to weight with a higher top speed and more reverse speed. This tank features the same gun depression with a better armored turret. It has very good penetration values, as we can see. Its accuracy is very similar, and look at the DPM. It's 2,922 on this vehicle. In fact, the reload of 8.42 seconds on this gun is faster than the reload of 8.5 seconds on the Vipera. And the thing you also have to remember about the Vipera is you have to add on a 3-second intro clip before the shell starts reloading. So it's actually almost 12 seconds of reloading on this tank to get a 400 alpha shot out, when on this vehicle, it's only 8 seconds. That's the problem, And I definitely, as I said, understand why Wargaming doesn't want another absolutely busted tank. But as of right now, there isn't any reason why you should want to get your hands on the Vipera when this tank exists on the tech tree. And I mean, we can take a look at the tech tree's armor profile. I have it right in front of us. On flat ground, the turret is 299 mils thick, and using this vehicle haul down, even with calibrated, you can't pen it. It's upwards of 327. So as we can see, the turret on the tech tree is flat better than the turret on the Viperas. And when you pair that with a better gun, better mobility, better traverse, better basically everything, there's just not much of a reason to drive the Vipera, in my opinion. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Personally, I hope that Wargaming does indeed buff the Vipera a bit, maybe in the DPM department. I would just make it so the reserve shell doesn't exist. If they did that, if they made it so the vehicle had a gun more like how the Rinocerante is going to be balanced, or more like the Progetto, where you shoot and shoot, and then you have decent DPM on both shells, I think that would make the tank really enjoyable. Will Wargaming do that? I guess we're going to have to find out. But, oh well. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Obviously, if you'd like to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. And let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about the Vipera. Do you think it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to be bad? I don't think the tank's going to be bad. I think it looks pretty well balanced. I just don't see much of a reason to drive that vehicle over one like this. And I hope that Wargaming differentiates it from the tech tree enough that it makes it unique. But I guess we'll find out. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.